All right, hey everybody, I want to give you a quick PCRIs update going into the morning of the 14th. Today's Tuesday. We had a pretty bloody Thursday, Friday, Monday. So we're gonna let's see what the damage has been, right? So the first thing I want to show you here is the primary indicator here, which is based on the put-call ratio, and you can see this is well elevated above anything we've seen over the past year and a half. And if I go back, it's the highest since, gosh. March 18 March, which was near the COVID low. We first entered this level around the 27th February, right going into this pre-bear flag that really began the final wave down. So just want to give you, number one, the extent, like I've always said hedges have not come off until that move in March, and they stayed on basically from April all the way into June. And now we see the result of that, which was finally we got a lower low and we have PCRIs making a higher high, which sucks because it starts the bottoming process over. But again, it gets us finally maybe into capitulation. Now, what you see here also is on the third indicator, we have basically hit this dotted green line, which is sort of my beginning of the capitulation zone. In COVID, we basically hit the top of this in August of 19. We hit the second one. Same with sort of the 2018 taper tantrum, 2018 Volmageddon. So this is sort of like in a volatility event, we hit this upper band, but generally you can see in most of the corrections here, we hit this dotted line here, and we've hit that now, and that primes us with 2 out of the 4 indicators being in a sort of a capitulation zone. So now we have to say, okay, are we going to bottom here instead of final low like we did in 2018, or are we just setting up the next big shock? And that's what we really need to watch, because we don't have an answer to it. You can see here sort of the momentum indicator and this lower indicator here. They're still well below their capitulation zone. So this white line here, I really should change that to green for simplicity, but this white line here is, and you can see the bands start to get a little green. We're not there yet. Here we want to hit this green line, and that's really going to signal sort of like we hit that a couple times going into our correction in 2022, but we haven't hit it since, just touched it almost. So basically what I'm looking for is if we hit all 4 of these markers with all 4 indicators, we know, okay, we're going to start to at least bottom. And if we go into like let's say a 2000 or 2008 bear market, we're probably going to bottom in the sense that we're going to set a lower low and rally to a lower high. We're not necessarily going to go to all-time highs, but that's what I mean in the context of bottom in a bear market. In the rare case of like 2018, where we bottom and we go on to new all-time highs, even then that took, it was January until April, right? So that took a while. So we're basically looking to get these indicators even higher, which means we're probably going to have to see more fear unless we see immediately all of this reverse completely, right? It's OPEX week. People are probably monetizing their hedges. Obviously, into Friday and Monday, people were shorting the whole. So we'll see if those hedges monetize. If those hedges don't monetize, meaning we don't get more downside, you're going to start to see this come off pretty quickly as people realize that those new hedges that they bought are getting burned alive. So that's what we're watching basically. If this continues to stay elevated, that means people basically are continuing to hedge and buy puts into this and sell the rip. So we're still in sell the rip mode. We need to see this come back down and start to set lower highs before we could even entertain the idea of a bottom. So what we want to see is something like this. Maybe we make lower lows as we make lower highs here. So I would guess that we still have more selling to do. I don't know to what extent. We could do like something where we have like a selling shock that takes us lower into 3600s, for example, and then we immediately bounce and rip out of here, and then we see sort of like a V top, but that's rare. So essentially what we're looking for is we're going to need to grind out of this zone. We're going to need to see these readings come down. Otherwise, we're going to need to see capitulation readings on all 4, in which case we know, okay, it's time to start to clock. We could see a capitulation at any time. Now, keep in mind, anytime we get in this range, you can see in the past when we've gotten this range, it's been near bottom. Anytime we get in this range, it sets us up for a possible bounce. Here we double bottomed, here we triple bottomed. Over here, we sold one more day and then we bounced, right? So anytime we get in this range, we're set up for a bounce, and it could be a bear flag, it could be like a retrace, something like that. So I typically don't like to short here, but I'm not getting long either. So we're not getting long. We're waiting to see what happens. Really, it's OPEX weeks. There's not a lot to do anyway, but I want to go through this to help you guys out. Good luck.